I am going to turn it over to Nick to give a wildfire overview. And as noted, then Drew Stroberg will come on to do an overview of the closure, and then we'll field into questions. Thanks.
Right. Good afternoon. Just want to make sure everybody can hear me out there in virtual land. Anybody?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, my name is Nick Petrack. I'm the Superior National Forest Fire Staff Officer. As Joy alluded to, our pleasure to bring you some information and an update on some of the fires that we've been seeing on the Superior National Forest and up in Northeast Minnesota in general. So on July 7th, the forest has been, under pretty dry conditions. We saw a lightning storm come through that caused most of all these fires. All in all, around 21 fire starts, about 14 on Forest Service ground and 7 with our partners. The cause of these fires, definitely through that lightning storm that we came, we had under some really dry conditions, we've seen some rapid fire growth along with our fuels conditions. So in the last 3 days, 4 days, we've really had, we've seen some increased fire behavior. In the last couple of days with the high temperatures and the humidity and some winds, we are seeing some growth in our fires on the landscape. The forest has made a decision that we'll be closing the Boundary Waters wilderness down tomorrow for the firefighter and the public safety aspect. That's a very difficult decision. We put a lot of effort and strategy into making these decisions, knowing how important it is the wilderness is for all of us. So really what we have happening here is a cluster of fires within the Boundary Waters and some outside of the wilderness. The ones inside the wilderness are your largest fires. We have like the Thumb Fire, which is probably around 5,000 acres. The Bear Trap Fire, which is about 3,000 acres, and the Dark Fire, which is around 600 acres. Those are estimated as of last night when we do our mapping capability. So we will be getting an update, situational awareness, help us out as the day goes on.
Josh, I figured it out.
A lot of
okay. You got it?
We're utilizing a lot of aviation maps, a direct suppression strategy, utilizing natural boundaries where we can, and we're assessing all these things constantly. One of the big things I'd like to stress is the public safety side of it. We're doing everything we can to make sure the public is out of the way, giving advance notice. With the extended forecast being dry, no significant rain in the horizon, that we have to do our due diligence to get the public out. Along with that, we're looking at where we can put our firefighters in safely. Some of these areas are very remote, so it's not feasible to really insert our people at this time on certain parts of the fire or some fires in general. We're doing everything we can to work with our partners. It's been a strong coordination effort with the counties, the state, the sheriff's office, along with our international partners. Currently, there are 2 fires in the United States that do pose a threat to crossing into Canada, and Canada has one on the eastern part of our wilderness that is posing threats to come into the United States. So we have set up daily calls with our international partners to try to get ahead of the current fire situation that we're in. I'll pause there, Joy. Turn it over to Drew or take questions.
Yeah, let's go on and have Drew do an update on the closures, and then we can field questions after that.
So thank you. And first of all, I apologize for the background noise. I'm at the incident command post for the Type 3 team on the west side of the forest. So there's quite a few people in here. But yeah, with regard to the closure order, as Nick said, we've issued a closure order, actually updated closure order to include the entire Boundary Waters wilderness starting at 12:01 a.m. July 14th. 6. Little background on this: on July 10th, soon after we got that lightning storm, we closed the westernmost portion of the boundary waters, the entire LaCroix district and a portion of the Wishway district as well. Along with that, we also instituted burning restrictions, fire restrictions, I should say, within the boundary waters that allowed folks to still have propane stoves, but no campfires in any of the pits. Our plan at the time was to try to manage through this with those two restrictions in place. But with the recent fire activity, especially yesterday with the red flag warning conditions, we had a couple of fires in the wilderness: the thumb fire, and then the dark fire, which is I believe was burned into the bear trap fire as well. Had significant growth yesterday, especially the dark fire and bear trap. They were burning to the east, and we're very close to our original closure order. And looking at the forecast, which called for more red flag conditions today, potential for more thunderstorms, dry thunderstorms later this week with more lightning, and potential for more starts, and continued dry weather for the next couple of weeks. Along with that fire in Canada, we made the very difficult decision, to close the boundary waters for the time being. What we did is the decision was made late last night. We notified our cooperators yesterday evening so that they could notify any of the permittees that were going in this morning that the boundary waters will be closing, like I said, at 12:01 a.m. on July 14th. That way, we didn't have folks going in this morning just to be turned around. So, and then at 4 a.m., we notified permittees on recreation.gov that their permits would be canceled. We canceled all of the permits for the boundary waters through July 17th, and refunds were issued. We do not know how long this full closure of the boundary waters will be in effect. Our intent is to keep it as short as possible. So, our goal is to make sure that people can have a reasonably safe experience in the boundary waters, and to protect the safety of the firefighters and the general public. And right now, we don't feel as though we can do that. A couple of things, points of discussion, and a couple of other reasons that we decided to close the boundary waters. One, for us to clear out the rest of the boundary waters, if it was not already closed, given our current staffing levels, that would take us about a week. And when I say clear out, that means that we would have, teams of 2 in a canoe, 4 service employees, going through lake by lake, checking each of the campsites to make sure that nobody was there. And if we, encounter people, to let them know that they need to vacate the area. So that we estimate would take about a week. Then the other thing is the potential for search and rescue, which we do get a fair number of search and rescues every year. Oftentimes that takes the use of our Beaver airplane, and the Beaver airplanes which are float planes and on the water. They've been heavily involved in the firefighting effort. So if we need to divert them to search and rescue, that's taking away that critical resource for us to be able to fight fire. Not just that, but if we have a search and rescue in there, we'd be putting, rescuers and other Forest Service employees in an area that's, potentially dangerous with the current fire activity. So those are kind of the main reasons that we decided to close the boundary waters. This is not something we take lightly. We had lots of discussion. We fully recognize that this has a major impact on our communities, on people's livelihoods. We intend to keep this as short as possible. I do expect that when the full closure is eventually lifted, we would be able to reduce that in size. Because of the nature of these fires in there, especially like I said, the thumb fire, the dark fire and the bear trap fire. Um, in all likelihood, the only thing that's going to put those out fully is snow. We get snow in the fall. These things will likely be burning in some way, shape, or form until then. So when we can reduce the size of the closure area, I do expect that we will have some level of closure in effect around those fires for the duration of the season. That is all I have on the wilderness. The other part of this too, we have some fires, as Nick mentioned, on the west side of the forest, burning just to the southwest of Crane Lake. Most of these are smaller in size, but some are growing. We had approximately 10 fires in this area. 6 of those were federal, and then 4 were state, although we're still trying to determine the point of ignition on those incidents. And who has the fire is depends on where the fire started. 2 of the fires over here that we are most concerned about. One is the Echo 2 fire. That is burning just to the north of Echo Lake, directly south of Crane Lake. That one we had line all the way around it yesterday. It seemed pretty quiet, and then yesterday evening with the dry weather and the low relative humidity and the winds, it jumped our containment line. Got active again, jumped our containment line, burned another 3 to 5 acres on the north side of the fire. We have line across around the south side of it. As of this morning, they were working on trying to get line to the north of it, but we've had winds all day, so I'm expecting fire growth there, likely to the north and east. The other fire that we're concerned about, and this is right on the boundary of federal and state. We think it's they've started on state, but we're not sure on this. But I'll go ahead and cover it. The Chubb fire, which is burning directly west of Crane Lake, between Crane Lake and Highway 53. That I believe is over 100 acres as of this morning. Had no containment on it, and again expecting fairly significant growth today with the winds and the dry temperatures this afternoon. As I mentioned, for the rest of the week, looking at potential.
Drew, hold on. Somehow you got muted.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
So let me back up here. So we're looking at potential for dry thunderstorms Wednesday through Saturday of this week. Those storms will likely bring lightning, which obviously brings the better chance for more starts, or a chance for more starts. Gusty outflow winds and very little in the way of precipitation. We do not have any significant precipitation in the forecast for the next at least couple of weeks. So that's kind of the short-term outlook for our weather. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Drew. I think we've covered most of the questions in the chat so far. Drew, can you describe how we are evacuating people in the boundary waters?
Yes, I can. So we have crews of 2 in a canoe that are going through and sweeping areas of the boundary waters. We say sweeping, meaning, like I said, they're going campsite to campsite and determining whether or not people are there. If they are, then they're making contact and letting know that they need to leave. A couple of things with this. Obviously, that takes a lot of time. There's a lot of lakes in the boundary waters, lots of portages, lots of area to cover. And with the resources we have, like I said, that we estimate that would take us approximately a week. The other thing, especially for those folks that are going into a closed area, they're required to be red carded or firefighter qualified. So we don't just send anybody in there to do that, just in case, one of these fires blows up, or if they get into a situation where they're, in imminent danger of a fire, we want them to have the proper training. So not just sending anybody in there. These are firefighter qualified individuals.
Nick, sorry, I asked that question with the Star Tribune. Can you just explain how they go around to these camps? I mean, is it by canoe? A lot of people think about helicopters when they think of evacuations, and I know that's probably not the case. Thank you.
It's by canoe. In some instances, if we have, motorized, some of our lakes in the boundary waters have motorized use. If a given lake has, allows for motorized use, then motorized use is allowed on a given lake, then we will use motorized equipment as well. For the most part, like in all the lakes that are non-motorized, it would be by canoe.
Hi, this is Bob Timmons, Christopher's colleague. Drew, can you talk about the numbers back to like the scale of doing something like this for the entirety of the boundary waters? How many rangers are out there over this next week? And are you getting assistance from any other agencies to do that work?
Yeah, so we had, the last time I checked, we actually had, we had 8 rangers out there, and that was with getting assistance from other neighboring forests. Like I said, one of the issues that we ran into is that we are requiring that they be red carded just for their own safety. So we only had eight rangers in there. We were trying to get some more in there as we speak, but we're limited in terms of the number of people we have. There's a question in here: are the backcountry rules still in effect for the rangers and firefighters? Yes, absolutely. They're hand tools only. They're not right now being dropped in via air or using chainsaws or anything like that. Outboard motors are allowed on the motorized lakes.
Thanks, Drew. This is Dave Orick with the Star Tribune. I asked that question. Are you also mentioned aerial things? Are you dropping in retardant or water from the air on the fires in the wilderness yet?
I'm going to turn that over to Nick, because that's more of an operations discussion.
Okay, Joy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so thanks for the question. So right now we're focusing our efforts on water delivery aircraft. So whether it's fixed wing and or helicopters, certainly within the wilderness, we just use a water tactic. That's been the way we've been able to deal with these fires right now, just due to the intensity. It's been an aerial battle. So whether it's helicopters and or airplanes, the fixed wing scoopers, you'd be seeing water coming out of those at this time.
Do we know how many, thank you, Nick. Do we know how many people or parties are currently still in the boundary waters? I don't have that information in front of me. We can try to get that if needed. If any of the fires merged, I believe the dark fire and the bear trap fire were close to merging. Nick, I don't know if they've actually merged, if we've confirmed that. They were close.
Yeah, at this point, as an hour ago, they had not merged. It definitely looks like they are going to merge maybe by the end of shift today.
Size and remoteness. Yes, the goal still is full suppression. One of the issues is in the boundary waters is, like I said, these fires are really difficult to get to. They're difficult to access. They're difficult to get the number of firefighters in there that we need to get in there, just because of where they are. When the thumb fire started, that was a good 3 or 4 portages to get to that, and then it was quite a ways off the nearest lake. So getting people into these fires and firefighters into these fires is definitely challenging. So our goal is to keep these as small as possible, but we're having to think a little bit bigger, bigger scale, just where we can, potentially hold these fires at. So it's we are trying to keep them as small as possible. And that is the definition of full suppression. At the same time, trying to be realistic. With regard to the staff shortages, we have orders that have been placed nationwide. A lot of our resources are coming from out west, so a lot of them coming from Arizona, New Mexico, places in the Southwest where we've seen fire activity. So it does take them, several days to get up here, because they're driving up here. They have all their equipment, all their vehicles, and wildfire situation, the national wildfire situation. Yeah, we're in preparedness level 4 nationally, so that's on a scale of 1 to 5. That means that the majority of our firefighting resources nationally have been committed. So that does make it more difficult for us to get resources up here. How many staff? I know over here for the Type 3 team, I think we had, I believe it was 70 firefighters on the ground this morning, and then we probably had another, 50 or so support staff. So I think we were about 120 on the west side. Nick, I don't know what we have for the wilderness fires, so if you can help that.
Yeah, so right now we're staffing the fires that we can. Most of the work is, like I said, is being done with aerial resources, putting a lot of efforts into our public safety. Some of our firefighters do act as public safety to ensure the public is, out of the way. So we'll engage. We need a weather to cooperate in our favor before we can, throw a bunch of people in these remote areas for sure. So we strategically look at natural boundaries, where we're going to be successful with the amount of firefighters we have, and we chat about that on a daily basis and prioritize, where we need to put our people. That's an ongoing situation.
With regard to the permits that were canceled, that's something that we'll have to discuss. I don't know, Joy, if you have anything to offer on that one. If they're top of the queue, I don't believe that's the case. I believe that they go back into the queue. They got fully refunded. I don't believe that there would be any preference towards that. But Joy, I don't know if you have any information on that.
No, that's correct.
Question around. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. There was a question around the float plane use.
Yeah, I can take that. Are you in regards to using it for public safety?
Correct.
Yeah, so we certainly will if we have to. So our public safety people are traveling via Canoe. They do the best they can to sweep the area, go to every campsite, ensure that people are moving along through the designated portages. If we do find an imminent threat where that fire may be moving closer than what we're comfortable with, we do certainly have the capability, if the pilots can land there, to give them a notification that way. But again, everything's a case by case basis. We do try to prefer the paddling in portion, but does lead to float plane use once in a while.
I think one of the other considerations there is, yes, we can use them, but those float planes, we call them beavers, is what we have. They're same, we call them beavers. They're also being used heavily to help fight these fires. So we can use them for assisting with the evacuation. We prefer to keep them on the fire. And we have in total we have three beavers that are available to us.
Emergency I gotta deal with.
Sometimes sometimes not all three are available. One's down for maintenance. They have maintenance requirements. They need to keep them serviceable.
Okay, we
Hey,
have 1 minute left and we are wrapping up here. I just wanted to share my screen real quick and just go over some things that I don't know how often this group here is utilizing the NCWeb system. I did put it into the I put it into the link into the chat here, and this is what sorry. Can you see this now? All right.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the NCWeb page, and this is our national system that we use, you know, to track all of the fires around the nation within the Forest Service in incident command. So right now we have this under one wildfire right here. So if you click on that, that will take you to this page. This page has all of this information in it. So it has the information that we push out. It's a little clunky, but all the information is there. So highlighted all of our press releases. We have all of our closure information. We have all of the news releases. There's photographs for you to use. We only have one video in there right now, but we're working on more. And then there's also all of the maps that are related to this incident, or all of these incidents at this point, are in this system. So for your reference, this page, again, I dumped it into the chat there, and it's in all their press releases. This page is really a huge resource for you. The other page that is a good resource for you is our alerts page on our forest website that is also linked in the press releases. So here's our top, you know, clicks, but there's also all of the different fire danger status and everything, alerts, and everything you'll ever want to know that we have released and published. So those are your two sources, primarily though going back to the NCWeb, especially because we have multiple, as Drew mentioned, we have a Mick's team that's helping us out with part of our wildfires. Wednesday, we'll have a national team coming in to help out with the wilderness fires. They will have their own PIO team, so we'll be pulling all that information into one like outlet. So we are working very diligently to try to pull this information. This is a little different than most situations with the high level of multiple wildfires going on. So bear with us as we're trying to get this information out to you as quickly as we can. And that is all we have for today. We will field questions in the chat and try to incorporate some of those going forward into our Q&A. But we thank you for your time, and let us know, if you have any additional questions. But that's where we close today. Thank you and have a great day.